Okay, so 10 slides, 10 minutes. If you have 20 minutes, then you can take your time. What I want to say before we start is that there may be details that you can include in appendix slides so that when you have Q&A with your audience, you can have slides ready with more details and charts, etc. So the goal of these 10 slides is to give people an overview of your idea and how it works, and then you can have more details in the Q&A. So think about what are the most important pieces of information that you want them to retain, and how you're going to hook them and make them want to learn more and make them want to help you. That is the goal of a pitch, not to tell them everything about your idea. So first slide, cover page. What is the name of your endeavor? Probably just include the location where you're pitching and the date, and then the names of your team members. So even if you're pitching alone, it's good to include all the team members. Second slide, what is the challenge that you're tackling, the broad societal challenge? It's good to include key statistics. Don't include every statistic you know about it, but just something to hook people. For example, just yesterday in class, I was talking with my students about DREV, which is a social enterprise that designs medical devices for use in low-income settings. And the person presenting the endeavor started by saying, jaundice is the number 5 cause of infant mortality. And I was like, whoa, I never cared about jaundice before, but now I'm like, the number 5 cause of infant mortality, how can that be? And then he said, there's a solution to jaundice, which is phototherapy, but less than 10% of hospitals use phototherapy. And I was like, what? No, we need to do something about this. So he hooked me right away by presenting the challenge. He showed a photo or a video of a baby, so that made it personal, and he shared a key statistic about the top 5 cause of infant mortality. The third slide should be the opportunity. So in the case of DREV, he shared the opportunity. Phototherapy is known to tackle jaundice, but less than 10% of hospitals use it. And so when you present the opportunity, you want to present your insights from talking to people. Why do less than 10% of hospitals use it? So that person shared that the top 2 reasons are the cost and the maintenance. And that's what DREV was tackling with their first device, which was called Brilliance. So the opportunity slide, the third slide, you share your key insights from talking to people. I've told you about the challenge. Now, what are the opportunity? For example, you could say how some innovative people are dealing with this, or how you came up with the idea for your solution. So it links the challenge and the solution. The fourth slide is where you present your solution. Just say in a very concise, clear way, what is it? Is it a website? Is it an app? Is it a device? Is it an organization or a community center or process or method? Say what it is. You can say your theory of change, like if we do this, then that change happens. And you can say your vision and mission. So now you're starting to introduce your endeavor. The fifth slide is about your customer and value proposition. So you share the customer flow chart. How do people find out about this? What it looks like for them to engage with this, and what will happen as a result. And you need to share how you've tested it with customers. And I don't recommend that you pitch before you've tested it with customers. Remember, it's all about talking to people. So I want to hear words like, we prototyped this by sketching it out on paper and had one-on-one conversations with 200 students where they gave us feedback on our idea. That's just an example, of course. The sixth slide is about financial viability. So what is your revenue model, who's paying, and what are your financial projections? This will give us people a sense of whether this is going to be a for-profit or a nonprofit, and you can include information here about your funding sources. And the seventh slide is, what does success look like? Where are we trying to go with this, and how will we capture that? The eighth slide is team. And this is controversial because some people think team should go earlier And if you feel that way, absolutely put team earlier. I like to just start with the challenge and kind of tell the story about how I developed the solution and where I'm trying to go with this, and then say, here's why we are the people who should be implementing this. So it's important to describe your idea, but ideas are a dime a dozen. Anyone can come up with an idea. The point is that when people invest in you and support you, it's because they think you can implement the idea. And so that's what you want to capture in this slide. What are the different roles, backgrounds, and skills of the people? You want to be able to answer the question in your pitch, why this really needs to happen, why you need to be the people doing it, and why they should be paying you, whether they is your audience or your customer, or depending on the situation. For the 9th slide, I like to carve out some time to talk about challenges. Remember how we did the SWOT and the pastel? We want to talk about the inherent internal weaknesses and also the external threats. And you want to say what's not perfect about your idea and what you need help with. And that brings us to the 10th slide about your goals, where you're trying to get to in 5, 10, 20 years, and your ask. You want to end with a reminder of your vision. Now, the ask can be something like, we're looking for $1 million to reach 500,000 people. Or it can be something like, follow us on social media, tell your friends. Or it can be something like, we're looking for partners to implement this. It really depends on your audience. And of course, you can break down the goals and ask into 2 slides. It's okay if you have 11 slides because the cover slide doesn't really count. So don't take this outline verbatim. This is a guide for you to be able to share your work. Okay? So this full pitch deck is what you use when you have at least 10 minutes, usually it's 10 to 20, to present your venture. Now, sometimes you might have 5 minutes or less, like at a conference or panel. So in this case, just include the challenge, solution, customer and how it works, financial viability, and what success looks like. And then you can save the rest for Q&A. So you want to just engage people and start a conversation. Now, some universal tips for pitching are to be concise, compelling, and clear. Practice. It really helps to use a story with one person. And just make a human connection. And I'm going to share these and other tips and tricks in the do's and don'ts videos. But I just wanted to make sure that we talk about it here as well before I get to the last form of the pitch, which is the lightning pitch. So the full-length pitch and even the 5-minute pitch or less are used in a formal environment where you can use slides, etc. But in an elevator pitch, it might be in an informal setting, like in an actual elevator where you run into someone and you have a minute or less to tell them what you're working on before the elevator's door open. Now, sometimes it also happens in a formal setting like a conference where they just want 30 seconds or 60 seconds to give an elevator pitch. It's also sometimes called a lightning pitch. And so the point is that you just want to have like one sentence where you say what you're doing. Stick to the basics. When in doubt, just use your value proposition. We help X, do Y by doing Z. You don't walk people through the whole story. You don't explain how it works. It's just one sentence. Like you bump into someone in an elevator and they're like, hey, what you been working on? And you say,
did you know that jaundice is the number 5 leading cause of infant mortality? We're helping hospitals solve that problem through phototherapy, using our low-cost, low-maintenance medical devices. See ya.
Bam, elevators or doors are open and you're done. Now, using a question, as I've done, is a really helpful way to describe the problem. For example, here's my lightning pitch for this course. Did you know that most people want to find a path to social change but don't know where to get started? This course helps anyone find their path to social change by learning from the key principles of social entrepreneurship. Bam! Value proposition. We help X do Y by doing Z. In less than 30 seconds, I describe the problem and the opportunity and what I do. So that my friends, is the lightning pitch. So now we've covered the full-length pitch, the 5-minute pitch, and the lightning pitch. In the next video, we're going to talk about, if you want to put this down on paper and write a business plan, how you can use pretty much the same outline to do so.